Isaiah's meeting with the kid.
The stalker? So what?
Which means he's hiring somebody, which means he could be getting rid of somebody. And he's been really weird around me lately.
He's always weird. Ignore it. Go work on your closing.
You're right. But I can't ignore it. I'm having trouble breathing.
What the hell is going on with you?
My father doesn't talk to me. Since I came out as a woman, he just ignores me. He pretends I don't exist. When I go home, my family is fine, but he just doesn't look at me. He won't even look at me. So I try harder. I work harder to be more successful, and it just doesn't work. It's because I'm not who he wants me to be and who he thought I was.
Okay, you lost me a little there at the end. Are we talking about your dad or Isaiah now?
Oh, God. Pathetic. Just shoot me.
Isaiah loves you. You know how I know? He gives you the toughest cases. We need to get that weapon thrown out. Oh, you think?
Well, file a Brady motion. I just did one. You know it when you see it. You see somebody on the subway talking to themselves, maybe a little bit disheveled. You think to yourself, oh, God, a crazy person. We all do it. We turn away. But you can't turn away from Lester Kerwin. His fate is in your hands. You don't need to read 3,600 pages of psychiatric evaluations over 20 years to see that Lester Kerwin is a sick man. Because you can see it. You don't need me or Dr. Baldridge to make sense of what went on that day, because there's no sense to be made. You can see that sitting right there is a sick man. And I needed you to see it. So much so that we took Lester off his medication. For you, so that you could see it. You had to see it, and you did. You saw Lester Kerwin's illness. And now I ask you to look at Mr. Kerwin and see something more. See a son, pride of the family. He liked practical jokes, so when he was 14, he went out into a snowstorm without any pants on. His father thought, well, it's just another one of his jokes. It wasn't. That little boy, funny, lighthearted little boy, never returned. See the man who, knowing his illness was getting progressively worse, tried repeatedly to find a state-run facility that would take him, only to be turned away, being told that there was no room at the inn. I agree with Mr. Holland on the facts of this case. Mr. Kerwin pushed Kim Fiorita in front of that train and sat down. Where we disagree is the interpretation of those facts. Mr. Holland sees a cunning predator. I see a confused, tormented soul, constantly tormented of voices, demons, and paranoid delusions. He sat down on that platform that day, not in submission, not attempting not admitting any wrongdoing, but because he had no idea he had done anything wrong. If he had, surely this paranoid, fearful individual would have run. But this case is not about Lester Kerwin. This is about us as a society. Do we ignore Lester Kerwin's, how sick he really is? On the day he committed this terrible crime? Ultimately, this decision is not about him. It's about us as a society. So, do we look away? Or do we really see him?